All right, what are the top 5 suck places to get a tattoo? Like just painful, frustrating.
Yeah.
What are your top 5 horrible places to get tattooed?
For me to tattoo, or to get tattooed.
For them to get tattooed.
For them to get tattooed, I would say anywhere soft and like where you're ticklish, anywhere where the sun doesn't shine. I would say like anything like the armpits, the underarms into the ribs kind of area would suck. I would say probably like number 1. The neck, the center of the neck, especially for males that have like a Adam's apple and whatnot, can get a little tricky because of the way it is.
Dude, when somebody has a throat tattoo, I just assume they're like the baddest motherfucker to walk the planet. I don't want to fight any guy who has a throat tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. They look cool. There's a lot of, I mean, you gotta be a certain type of person to have a throat tattoo. I think you gotta really be able to own it for sure. I mean, it's on you forever, so you gotta understand that as well.
So basically, all the places the sun don't shine, those places suck for tattoos.
Yeah, the feet, like the top of the feet too, I've heard sucks. The worst part I've really seen is the wrist. The wrist has been a really spicy spot, just because essentially like you have all these nerves in your hand, right? You feel everything with your hand and whatnot, and all of those nerves run right through your wrist. So that's like a pretty sensitive spot that I always notice is on the wrist. Just for that reason, it's all those nerve endings running through there, and it's such a little small bony area, and you're super sensitive that you know.
So what's the worst place for you to tattoo as an artist where you're like, I'm worried about this quality of work?
It has to be the throat, especially for males. Like I said, with the Adam's apple and whatnot.
Dude, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies even thinking about that.
Yeah, and it's also unpleasant for the client. But a lot of the times I notice that the worst thing about the tattoo is sometimes like having to sit for it. Really? Having to sit in certain positions and whatnot. Sometimes the tattoo isn't too bad. It's just more of like the positioning that you're in. Like imagine getting your throat tattooed, right? You're laying on your back.
Yeah, no, it sounds miserable.
Yeah, you're laying on your back and you're just kind of have your neck extend like up, and you're essentially like seeing the world upside down for the next few hours while you're having to like feel this pain. Yeah.
So this is a rated R podcast. So anybody who's listening with their kids, go ahead and turn off the radio now. But what's either the weirdest tattoo you've done or the weirdest placement of a tattoo you've done?
I haven't done too many weird placements. I would say a lot of like kind of like normal spots, whether it's like the arms, the thighs, the legs, some stomach tattoos. Nothing too crazy, I would say. But my weirdest experience has to have been one time when I was an apprentice. I had just finished up my day, and I went to go peace out to the guy I was apprenticing under, and he had a client there who had friends, and they were looking to get tattooed. And you can kind of obviously tell they weren't like sober, but at the same time, I wasn't like paying too much attention to them and like exactly what they were doing. But he had told me like, hey, I want to get this horrible date on my face like covered up. And he wanted to, and at the time I was like, maybe we could do it tomorrow or something. He's like, no, I want to do this right now. And he
had a date tattooed on his face, like a number.
It was like a weird, like I don't remember the date, but it was like let's say like today, 1/9/2023, something like that, just right across his forehead, but horribly done. It was like scribbly, like it was just kind of like,
total prison tattoo.
Prison tattoo, like just I don't know what it was, but you could tell it was poorly done. And he wanted to get it covered. He wanted to get covered up with a cassette. Those cassettes, those like square cassette things. Yeah. So at the time I was like, hey, like what if we did like a cool knife or something that'll complement the face a little bit, Right. Essentially, when you're doing a tattoo, you want to complement the body. You want to complement the body shape, the muscle, like where you're working, So on the face, I imagine something like maybe like dark on the top that kind of comes around the face.
Yeah, like maybe matches your eyebrow or something.
Yeah, at least go with the curvature of your forehead. But no, he wanted like a big square thing right on his head. And I tried to convince him otherwise because I showed him like an example. I was like, hey, man, for us to really cover this up with the cassette's going to have to be a little big, bro. Like it's going to be the most of your forehead, man.
You're just going to have a big square cassette tape on your forehead.
Yeah. So essentially I was trying to like guide him in a different direction, but he's like, no, I'm an upcoming artist. I need this cassette on my forehead. So, and then my boss turns to me. He's like, yeah, man, like he's a grown ass man. He knows what he wants. Just do it. I was like, okay. So, I'm setting up, and this dude's just like, at the end of the day, I found out he was on pills because he hit me up the next day. He's like, hey, man, I think I left my pills at your shop and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Can you find them? And we didn't find him. We didn't know what happened to him. But he was starting to be a little like, I thought he was drunk,
Right.
You know, but he was like just loopy. And once I started like really tattooing him, he just like passed out like sleeping wise. He just like started sleeping. And it was kind of weird because it was my first time like really tattooing a head.
Right.
And I just started thinking like, hey man, I have this dude's head in my hand and I have a tattoo machine on my other hand and I'm just drilling black into it. Like, you know, it's what I was supposed to do. It turned out to be, you know, a decent cassette on his forehead, as decent as it can be at the time, considering like you got a big black square on your forehead, you know?
Yeah.
But it just kind of made me think like, damn, dude, like this dude's really getting this on his head and he was really insistent about it, you know? It's just kind of like, that was probably like the weirdest experience, you know? Afterwards, he jumped up. He was like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever. Thank you so much. He paid me. And I was like, cool. Yeah, you know? But after that, I was like, I can't find your drugs, man. I don't know. He got a little upset too. He's like, what? I swear they're there, this and that. And I just didn't reply. I was like, I'm gonna let you just do your thing, bro. Like,
You know, I was like, there's no rationalizing with a drug addict, bro.
Yeah, especially after doing something like that to him, you know. It's like,
You don't have to come back and be like, I didn't mean to get this big square on my head.
Hey, man, you signed the waiver, bro. You told me you weren't drunk or nothing, so
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.